to join us to give us a little bit more insight about the process of what's gone on behind the scenes and what we might still get to hear more about. John Hartwell, he's the Director of Athletics for Utah State University, and he joins us now in the Full Court Press. John, thanks for your time tonight.
Absolutely. How are you guys doing?
Good, Mr. Hartwell. Good to have you on.
We're doing good. I guess first of all, let's start with the most recent first, and that is that the Mountain West announced conference games will begin October 24th. They'll run 8 weeks consecutively. We now know that Utah State will have a schedule. They'll play teams and then within the Mountain West, and then there's a chance for a conference title game. From your perspective, how involved were you with those conversations to develop that schedule for Utah State football?
Yeah, I mean, we literally have been meeting daily as ADs for about the last 3 weeks. In fact, I just got off a call a few minutes ago. So yeah, it was a collective effort amongst all of our athletic directors and, trying to come up with as equitable of a schedule as we could. Ours ended up staying exactly the same as it would have been in the regular season in terms of conference opponents and whether they were home or away. So that just kind of worked out. And, the couple of holes in the schedule or challenges, if you will, were, Air Force already had previously scheduled, obviously, the game they just played against Navy this past Saturday, and then Army on November 7th. So with an even number of teams in the league, that obviously put somebody out there. And, it worked out where Boise and BYU were actually already scheduled to play in the original schedule. Were scheduled to play on November 7th. So that game came to fruition. And then, Air Force, after having, again, played Navy already, and they're going to play Army. So they were not able to play any more than 8 games because they've got a regulation regarding their exams. So that created an opening on the 12th of December as well. And it turned out where San Diego State had to be on the road that day. They were scheduled to play BYU too, so they took that date. So it ends up where, all the teams have the opportunity to play 8 games, as you guys were alluding to. Those games are scheduled, and we're all going to have the power of positive thinking and hope that none of the Mountain West games get postponed. But we'll go with the 8-game schedule we've got right now. Straight through, as you mentioned, no bye weeks. 8 weeks starting the 24th and going through the 12th of December, with the conference championship game to be played on the 19th of December.
Now, you've explained why Boise State and San Diego State were able to still get BYU on their schedules. I know there's a lot of Aggie fans wondering, why didn't Utah State get a chance to have BYU on their schedule?
Yeah, it worked out where, again, San Diego State had to be away that weekend, and it just didn't work out for us. The other key there is that earlier date, the one in November, was that was already scheduled for Boise to host BYU, and that's important for us as a league because obviously if it's a home game for a Mountain West school, the Mountain West retains that television revenue. It's part of our TV contract. Whereas if a game's at BYU, it's part of their ESPN contract. So trying to get the game, it's more advantageous for us at the end of the day for Boise to have that home game.
Hey, I know they're in the Mountain West release. They talked about the possibility of having the Thursday, Friday games. Have you heard anything further on that? And if we will be having any Thursday, Friday games?
They're working through those right now. We should know by Wednesday or Thursday most of those. And I would just say it's probably a good bet. And who knows whether home or away or maybe one or so of each that we could have such games. Because here's the deal. So there are 46 games in the Mountain West inventory. So 8 weeks of games times 6 weeks. That's 48 games minus the 2 that we talked about. Air Force is at Army, so that game is not in the Mountain West inventory, nor is the San Diego State at BYU game in there. So 46 games. The first week's games, those will all be Saturday games because by NCAA regulation, everybody had to have 29 practice days from the announcement being made by the league. So that weekend of October 24th, we can't have any Thursday or Friday games. So you subtract those 6, that leaves you an inventory of 40 games. Out of those 40 games remaining, I believe 18 of those will either be Thursday or Friday night games, so almost half of them. So there's a pretty good chance that we may well have a Thursday or Friday night game. But like I said, hopefully we'll have that information by Wednesday or Thursday of this week.
Also in the Mountain West release, they said there's a possibility of fans, but it's up to local health regulations, local health, whatever's going on currently with the coronavirus. What contingency plans have you put in place, and will the fans be allowed possibly at games at Utah State?
Yeah, so let me answer the question up front and say, yes, we are going to have fans. As of today, we are one of only 4 schools in the Mountain West that are going to have fans at all. Wyoming's plan is to have just under 7,000. UNLV playing in the Raiders' new stadium there, their plan is to have 6,500. And University of Nevada at Reno's plan is to have 2,200. For us, and in fact, our plan was laid out today to our COVID task force risk committee today, and we're moving forward hopefully tomorrow with looking at a total capacity of about 5,500. So once we get that go ahead, we kind of have that mapped out, and again, got to have the social distancing, got to have masks to come in. So as I know, we've got a lot of listeners out there. We will provide that information of how that impacts current season ticket holders here in the coming days this week.
Mr. Hartwell, how about the basketball schedule? Do we have any further information of when that could be released? And will we have any home games? And I get the same question of, will we have fans at the Spectrum?
Yeah, so good question, Zajay. We, again, from the information we got on our Mountain West AD's call this afternoon, should have both a men's and women's basketball schedule as it relates to the league schedule here before the end of the week. We do have some non-conference things we're trying to finalize. As I think you guys had mentioned, the NCAA moved back the starting date of competition about 15 days from November the 10th to November 25th. So there are some things that we are reshuffling in there. Amongst those on the men's side, was the ESPN hosted tournament in Myrtle Beach, which has now been pushed back in dates, and it's actually being totally redone. Looks like we will end up going to Orlando to play in a bubble there. ESPN is combining several of their events there, so still trying to work through the dates there. As you guys may have known, we were scheduled to have BYU at home on December 5th, St. Mary's at home on December 12th. Still working on, it's a pretty intricate puzzle trying to salvage as many of those non-conference games as we can after having 15 days chopped off the schedule. So trying to put those pieces together, but we should have, pretty good indication by the end of the week on all of that and release, the information that we can. Again, the basketball schedule, just like the football schedule, is subject to TV dates. So The base schedule that will come out will be a Tuesday, Friday format for men's basketball, but that's before any of the TV picks are done. And I have a feeling quite a few of our games will be picked for TV, so those may have some dates moved there as well. And to the final part of your question there, yes, we will have fans in the Spectrum. Still trying to work through those numbers. A little more restrictive because obviously the risk of spread of the virus is higher in enclosed or indoor facilities than it is outdoor. We're just trying to see what that number is. And the other component there is, with basically class going online at Utah State after Thanksgiving break, a large portion of our students won't be on campus from Friday, November, I think it's the 20th, somewhere in there, Friday, November 20th, all the way up until January 19th, which is the day after Martin Luther King Day. So you've got almost 2 months without students on campus, and so we're trying to figure out how we account for that to trying to let as many fans in as we can, as many of our season ticket holders as we can. But quite frankly, this is going to be an unusual year where we can't have 10,300 people in their capacity of the Spectrum, and quite frankly, our number may be down somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 to 20% of that in an indoor building. So we're trying to work through that as well.
In regards of the fans, have you guys found a way to prioritize of which people will be allowed to attend the games, or how many students will be allowed to attend the games, or how have you guys figured that out? Are you still working on it?
Yeah, we're close on that, and obviously the students and the herd are such a home field and home court advantage for us in football and basketball, trying to accommodate as many of them as we can. But again, it's percentages, only a fraction of what our full capacity is that's going to be allowed due to COVID-19 restrictions. So, we're trying to get as many people in there as we can. And I'll say this, from a basketball perspective, we're hopeful that whatever our beginning percentage or number is can grow some during the course of the year if the number of infections and rate of infections decreases in Cache Valley and the Bear River Health District. But all of that's contingent, and obviously here the last week or so, it hasn't been trending in a very positive direction. But I will say this, even having some fans for us is going to be far better than the vast majority of the people in our league, because as of right now, 8 of the 12 institutions as it relates to football aren't going to have any fans at all.
Yeah, no kidding. So right now Utah State seems to be in a good position where they can move in that direction. The Mountain West announced that they would have testing available for their member institutions. How has testing been going so far, and how many positive tests has Utah State experienced so far this athletic academic season?
Yeah, so all the testing we've been doing so far has been at the institutional level, and we started testing all the way back early June when our student athletes, in particular football, started coming back. So you're really talking, 4 months worth of testing now, 4+ months worth of testing, and in total, our number of positives are somewhere right around 60. Now that includes all student athletes across all sports and some of our coaching staff and staff members as well. So, Mike Williams and his staff and our training room have done an outstanding job, as have, our team doctors very involved in it and working in close coordination with the Bear River Health District and then also the folks on campus. Now, as it relates to specifically football testing, The number of tests per week is going to ramp up starting next week, and all of our football testing is going to be done through a contract that the Mountain West Conference has with a third party. So every school will have the same company, a company out of Texas coming in doing the testing, and that will start next week, next Monday for football. Those tests will be 3 times a week all the way through the season. We had hoped that those were going to be antigen tests right off the bat, but it looks like due to supply and due to the accuracy of the test for the first 2 weeks, those are going to be PCR tests, for our student athletes. And that's more than our student athletes. We will have kind of our inner bubble, if you will, people who have day-to-day contact with our football team. So, in addition to roughly 110 student athletes, you've got a coaching staff, you've got trainers, you've got managers, you've got all the video people, all of those people who have daily contact with our football program, which is about 165 to 170 individuals. So they will all be tested 3 times a week. Depending on the date of our game, if we have, on a typical Saturday game, there will be Friday tests. And, if there's a positive in those Friday tests, that individual or those individuals won't travel, won't make the trip for that game. So, again, unusual circumstances, different than we've ever experienced before, but a lot of positive movement. And, the thing is, if we were to have, 2 or 3 or 4 positives or guys who miss games, other schools are having those same things. So, we will just work through it. And again, the decision to play was not done to return to play. Was done after careful consideration of student athlete safety and welfare. And ultimately, that's going to be our number one priority. Yes, our kids and our coaching staff are excited to play games, but again, we're going to make sure that student athlete welfare and safety are taken care of first and foremost.
Mr. John Hartwell, Athletic Director for Utah State Athletics, joins us here on the Full Court Press. Mr. Hartwell, final question from me. How big of a decision, or how big was it that the Mountain West Conference had told you guys that, hey, with the testing, we're going to pay for everything? And, I mean, I just can't imagine the relief of cost that put on for you guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, it helps because obviously we're all under financial constraints, and quite frankly, some of our schools in our league are in better shape than others. And the good news is we're on the better end of that. But yeah, the league covering it, and I say the league covering it, and we're very grateful for that. But it's coming out of the reserves for our league that at the end of the day, the conference members all share that anyway. So yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a play on words, but it's coming out of reserve. So obviously it helps that those expenses don't have to come out of our current operating budgets.
Well, John Hartwell, we appreciate your time tonight. I know it's a really crazy time. I know that you and your staff, Jerry Bovey, you guys are putting in a lot of long hours trying to piece this all together. Appreciate your time, and we look forward to finding out about basketball schedules when those get released. Hopefully we hear something later this week.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And again, it's been a challenging last 7 months, and we're going to continue to have challenges, but just the optimism and excitement, amongst our football student athletes, and, that trickling over to our student body as a whole, and there's a little bit of a buzz on campus now about it, and through our fan base, and I'm sure throughout Cache Valley that's we're really excited about, and look forward to the challenges of opening at Boise here in a little less than 3 weeks.
Hey, Mr. Hartwell, really quickly, and I apologize, this is so unprofessional, but you guys have a Give Day. I believe it's on October 8th. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that's going to mean for the athletics and how the community can help out?
hey, Ajay, we're going to have to bring you on as a consultant to our development staff. Yeah, that I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, this is really a campus-wide initiative on October the 8th, a day of giving for Aggies, and there's no amount too little and no amount too big. So we're just asking people and understanding that many people have suffered financial hardships through the COVID-19 pandemic. But, anybody that has the ability to give a gift to Utah State University, and, yeah, certainly we would love to see it designated towards athletics, but giving across the university to help, all of the great things that are going on at our great university, whether it's the academic programs, the arts, things going on with, our band and cheer, campus-wide, our extension programs, all of those things, could use people's support out there. So anybody listening who has an interest in giving, we would love to see you get involved in that day of giving on October the 8th.
Thank you, Mr. Hartwell. Appreciate your time.
Guys, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, John. John Hartwell, Director of Athletics for Utah State University.